Have you ever walked into a room full of people, only to feel the weight of it pressing down on you? The chatter, the laughter, the endless small talk, it's all too much. It's not that we don't like people, or that we want to shut the world out. No, it's that sometimes the noise of the crowd becomes unbearable, and we find ourselves wishing for quiet, wishing for peace. We pull away, not because we don't care, but because our mind and body are telling us, this is too much for me right now. And here's something we don't often hear. We're not alone in feeling this way. Research shows that around 20% of the population has something called sensory processing sensitivity, which means our brains process sensory information more intensely. For those of us with this trait, social events and crowds don't leave us feeling energized. They leave us drained. When we experience too much, our nervous system is overwhelmed, and avoiding social events becomes a way to protect ourselves. But it's not because we don't enjoy connection, it's because we experience emotions and social dynamics on a deeper level. We notice the smallest details, the way someone's tone shifts, the pause before a conversation begins, the tension in a smile. These things aren't just noticed, they're felt deeply. That's why we pull away, not out of avoidance, but to preserve our own peace. It's not rejection, it's self-preservation. For many of us, avoiding social gatherings isn't a flaw, it's a form of self-care. It's our way of honoring the fact that we need quiet spaces to recharge. When the world is too loud, we need silence to feel whole again. And that's okay. It's not about being broken, it's about being whole on our terms. So, if you've ever said no to a gathering because it felt too much, you're not alone. You're simply choosing peace over chaos, and that's something worth honoring. So, why do some of us feel the need to step back from social events? It's not because we don't want to connect with others or have a good time. It's because we're trying to protect ourselves from emotional overload. For many of us, socializing can feel like running a marathon, but instead of feeling energized, we're weighed down by every interaction, every glance, and every shift in the energy of the room. It's like our minds are constantly processing everything around us, and eventually it becomes too much. Here's what's really going on. Social anxiety is more than just the fear of talking to others. It's rooted in the fear of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. When we're in social situations, we're not just interacting with people, we're constantly worried about how we're being perceived, scanning the room for any signs of disapproval or discomfort. This mental and emotional strain is exhausting. The research by psychologists, particularly Elaine Aron, helps explain this through the concept of sensory processing sensitivity. This refers to how some people are more sensitive to external stimuli. For those with this trait, things like loud environments, crowded spaces, and even the smallest shifts in body language can be overwhelming. Social events, instead of being fun and energizing, end up being emotionally draining. When too much sensory input overloads us, we experience social fatigue, where our emotional resources run dry, and we simply can't take in any more. Think of it like being a sponge. At first, a social event may seem manageable, small talk, the background noise, the casual interactions. But over time, that sponge soaks up more and more energy from the surroundings. As the night goes on, it becomes fuller and fuller until there's no more room to absorb. And when that happens, we need to step back, find a quiet space, and reset. That's not a sign of weakness, it's your mind and body saying, I need rest. But here's the crucial point. Retreating from a social event isn't the same as rejecting people. It's self-preservation. It's our way of protecting our emotional well-being. When we step back, we're not shutting ourselves off from the world. Instead, we're creating space to recharge and come back stronger. By doing this, we can connect with others in a way that feels authentic to us without feeling overwhelmed or drained. Now, let's be honest. Many of us feel guilty when we pull away from social events. We worry we're missing out, or worse, letting others down. But the truth is, stepping back isn't about avoiding connection. It's about prioritizing our emotional health. We don't have to force ourselves to be on all the time. We can listen to our bodies when they say, "I need a break." Taking that break doesn't mean you're rejecting people. It means you're being mindful of your emotional needs. And that's a powerful act of self-care. It's not always easy to give ourselves permission to step away. Society often tells us that we should be social, attend every gathering, and be part of everything. But if we're always pushing ourselves to meet these expectations, we can burn out. When we listen to our body and respect our need for rest, we allow ourselves to heal and come back to the world with a renewed sense of presence. So, if you ever feel the urge to take a step back, don't feel guilty. Recognize that it's an act of self-awareness. It's an opportunity to recharge and show up as your best self when you're ready. It's not about rejecting others. It's about honoring your own needs. When you do decide to join in again, you'll bring your whole self to the table, more present, authentic, and able to truly connect. And here's an important reminder. You are not alone in feeling this way. Many of us experience emotional exhaustion after socializing, even though we may not always admit it. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It doesn't mean you're antisocial or that you don't care about others. It simply means your brain and body are signaling that you need a break, and that's perfectly normal. At the end of the day, taking a step back from social events isn't about avoiding life. It's about protecting your peace, taking care of yourself, and making space for deep, authentic connections. We don't have to be constantly on to be valuable. It's about knowing when to give yourself space and when to return, feeling renewed and ready to engage on your own terms. So, the next time you need to retreat from a gathering, remember this: you are not rejecting anyone. You're taking care of yourself so you can be more present when it matters. Honor your emotional boundaries and don't feel guilty for taking the time you need. You deserve it. There are many reasons why some of us avoid social events, and figuring out why can be harder than it seems. We might think it's simply because we're lazy or don't feel like socializing. But the truth is, there are deeper reasons that we don't always recognize at first. One of the most common reasons is social anxiety. People who experience social anxiety often have a lot of fear when they enter social situations. It's not about being shy. It's about the constant worry of being judged. We don't want to be the center of attention, and we certainly don't want to be mocked or feel like we're not good enough. We may constantly question if we're interesting enough or confident enough to fit in. This type of thinking creates a loop that's hard to break, and it can lead many of us to avoid social gatherings altogether. But social anxiety isn't the only reason. For some, social events feel like emotional overload. Every conversation, every handshake, every smile takes up a piece of our energy. And if you're someone who feels emotions deeply, this can get exhausting really quickly. Research by Elaine Aron, who studies sensory processing sensitivity, shows that some people's brains are more attuned to external stimuli like noise, crowded spaces, and even small changes in people's expressions or tone of voice. For these people, socializing doesn't feel like a refreshing experience. It feels draining. Imagine walking into a room full of people, and while everyone else seems to be having a good time, you feel out of place, disconnected. It's like they're all speaking a language you don't understand, and the harder you try to fit in, the more drained you feel. This isn't an uncommon experience. Many of us feel emotionally exhausted after socializing, even though we may not want to admit it. And that's perfectly okay. It doesn't mean you don't want to connect with people or that you don't care. It's just your mind and body signaling that they need a break. Stepping back doesn't mean rejecting others. It's about preserving your peace. You're taking a moment to recharge so you can show up more fully when you're ready. Let's be honest, often when we pull away from social events, we feel guilty. We might think we're missing out or letting people down. The pressure to constantly engage with others can make us feel isolated or like we're being antisocial. But here's the thing. Avoiding social situations doesn't make us less valuable or less connected to others. It's an act of self-preservation. We have to recognize that stepping back from a social event doesn't mean we're turning our backs on others. It just means we're choosing to take care of ourselves so that we can show up in a better, healthier state when we're ready. If you've ever found yourself pulling away from a gathering because it felt too much, know that you're not alone. We all need moments of solitude to recharge, and there's nothing wrong with that. Respecting our emotional boundaries is just as important as being there for others. Even though society often encourages us to be more social and to never miss out, it's crucial to honor your own needs. It's perfectly okay to say no sometimes, and it's essential for our mental and emotional well-being. Remember, choosing solitude isn't about rejecting the world. It's about protecting yourself so that when you do choose to step back into the world, you're able to bring your best self forward. We all need space to reflect, to rest, and to reconnect with ourselves. It's part of the healing process. And when you take that space, you're not only honoring yourself, you're also setting yourself up to be more present, more connected, and more authentic when you're ready to engage. So don't feel guilty for taking a break. You deserve it. You might be wondering, if avoiding social events is so common, is there any benefit to it? The truth is, yes, there are actually benefits, even though society often sees this behavior in a negative light. Stepping back from the chaos and noise of social gatherings is not about rejecting the world. It can be an essential form of self-care. For many of us, large groups and overstimulating environments can feel emotionally draining. The constant noise, the small talk, and the sheer energy of so many people can be overwhelming. It's not that we don't like people or don't enjoy socializing. It's just that after a while, the sensory overload starts to take its toll. And when we feel like we've had enough, we retreat. But here's something fascinating. Research has shown that people who are more introverted, or those who enjoy solitude, tend to have higher levels of self-awareness. These individuals are often deep thinkers, able to reflect on their emotions and the world around them in ways others might not. This level of introspection leads to emotional intelligence, which is key when it comes to forming meaningful and authentic connections. Susan Cain, the author of Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, sheds light on this in her research. Cain argues that introverts, despite being quieter or more reserved, often have rich inner worlds. They can form incredibly deep and meaningful relationships, but they do so differently than extroverts. While extroverts thrive in large groups, introverts tend to excel in smaller, more intimate settings, where they can listen, observe, and truly connect. Cain highlights that introverts aren't less capable of socializing, they just approach it in their own way. Their way of connecting may involve one-on-one conversations or smaller, more focused groups. These are the environments where they can truly engage and share their thoughts in a way that feels natural to them. On the other hand, constantly being surrounded by social events can lead to social fatigue, which is a real condition. When you're repeatedly exposed to high-stimulation social situations without taking the time to recharge, it takes a toll on your mental and emotional resources. Dr. Kathy Kramer, a psychologist at the University of California, found that prolonged exposure to social environments, especially without adequate downtime, can lead to burnout. This is why some people avoid social events in the first place. They're protecting themselves from that overwhelming emotional drain. But here's the key takeaway. Avoiding social events doesn't mean we're not social beings. Far from it. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. By stepping back and giving ourselves space, we're actually doing something important for our mental health. We're allowing ourselves the opportunity to recharge and reflect, which helps us come back to the world in a more balanced, healthier way. It's about quality over quantity. For example, when we avoid large, loud social events, we're not missing out on life. We're simply choosing to preserve our energy for the things that matter most. It's like having a limited amount of energy. Instead of draining ourselves in a crowded room, we save that energy for moments where we can be more present, more connected, and truly ourselves. The goal is to be able to experience the world around us in a way that feels fulfilling and authentic, without losing ourselves in the process. And let's be honest, it's easy to feel guilty about skipping out on social gatherings. Society tends to push the idea that you have to be social all the time, that you should always be participating in every event. But the truth is, taking a break doesn't mean you're antisocial. It doesn't mean you're missing out on life. It's actually a way to protect your well-being and make sure that when you do step back into social situations, you do so in a way that is meaningful and rewarding. By saying no sometimes, you are choosing to say yes to taking care of yourself. So the next time you find yourself saying no to a party or stepping away from a crowded event, don't feel guilty. Recognize it as an important form of self-care. It's not about rejecting life or avoiding connection, it's about honoring your emotional needs. You're taking the time you need to rest and recharge so that when you do show up, you're fully present, authentic, and ready to engage in a way that aligns with your true self. Remember, you don't need to force yourself to be on all the time. You can listen to your body when it tells you it needs a break. Prioritize your peace, and know that by taking care of yourself, you'll be able to connect with others in a more meaningful and fulfilling way when the time is right. Now that we've talked about why social events can sometimes feel overwhelming, let's dive into how we can cope and heal from this emotional exhaustion. It's not just about avoiding social gatherings, it's about learning how to take care of ourselves and managing our energy in a way that allows us to engage with the world in a way that feels authentic to us. One strategy that can help is gradual exposure. Rather than jumping straight into large social events that feel like too much, start small. Begin with one-on-one interactions or attend smaller gatherings. By easing into social situations at your own pace, you can reduce the risk of becoming overwhelmed. Studies in behavioral therapy have shown that gradual exposure to anxiety-inducing situations can help desensitize us over time. As we take small steps forward, the things that once felt intimidating become less scary and more manageable. Another helpful method is to focus on meaningful connections in low-pressure environments. Sometimes large parties and crowded events are not the places where we feel the most connected. Instead, it's about forming deep, authentic relationships and settings where we can truly engage with others. If you find yourself overwhelmed by crowds, try focusing on building connections with a smaller group of friends or family members who understand your need for quiet. Engaging in one-on-one conversations or small gatherings helps foster stronger bonds without the overstimulation of larger social events. It's also essential to prioritize self-care. If you're feeling emotionally drained after a social event, it's crucial to give yourself time to recharge. Rest is vital for maintaining your emotional health. Engage in activities that replenish your energy, such as meditation, journaling, or spending time outdoors. Research by the American Psychological Association has shown that taking regular breaks to relax and reflect can significantly reduce stress and improve mental well-being. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessary practice for staying mentally and emotionally healthy. Sometimes, talking to someone you trust can be an effective way to cope with feelings of anxiety or exhaustion. Having a support system, whether it's a friend, family member, or therapist, can make a significant difference in helping you process your feelings. When you share your thoughts and emotions with someone who understands, you create a space to reflect on your experiences and release any built-up tension. It's a way of finding comfort and clarity without letting your feelings pile up or get overwhelming. Lastly, be kind to yourself. It's easy to feel guilty for not attending every social gathering or event, but it's important to remember that your emotional health is paramount. You don't have to say yes to every invitation or force yourself to participate in events that drain you. As the researcher and author Brené Brown said, the most compassionate people are those who are able to set boundaries. By protecting your peace, you're not only caring for your well-being, but also giving yourself the space to show up more fully when you're ready. You don't have to be on all the time. Listening to your body and honoring your needs is a powerful way to stay true to yourself and be more present in the moments that truly matter. If you ever find yourself feeling guilty about not attending social events, know this: it's okay to say no. It doesn't mean you're rejecting life or isolating yourself from others. It simply means you're protecting your energy so that when you do choose to engage, you're doing so from a place of balance and authenticity. Remember, taking time for yourself is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of strength. You are honoring your own boundaries, and by doing so, you're ensuring that you can be the best version of yourself when you're ready to connect. So as you move forward, remember that it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to protect your peace. By practicing self-care, setting boundaries, and slowly rebuilding your emotional energy, you'll not only be able to handle social situations better, but also create more meaningful, fulfilling connections in your own time. Remember, it's okay to take a step back when you need it. Your peace and well-being should always come first. By honoring your boundaries, you're taking a powerful step toward healing. If this resonated with you, don't be afraid to share it with others who might need to hear this message too. We're all in this together, and sometimes just knowing someone else understands can make all the difference. Take care of yourself, and remember, you deserve peace.